It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to cut whatever it is on your loom off so that you can start again. And sometimes that's where the creativity comes from. So, today is January the 2nd, and I am doing this evening something that I had planned to do last week. You see, I have a lot of different projects going at any given time. As I was creating my course, I had a lot of different samples and I did a lot of different types of work. Some things were things that I don't normally do. And they all kind of piled up on my various looms. Now, I understand everyone doesn't have as many looms as I do, and I didn't always have as many looms as I do now. But one of the things that has helped me be able to be creative, and one of the things that has helped me to be able to put out and make as many things as I do, is knowing when to cut it off and start something else. Now, I know, I understand, especially for us as weavers, sometimes when you've put a long warp on the loom, you don't want to take it off. You've gotten a lot of time and energy invested in that warp. And you get into the process of weaving and you feel like you've got to finish. You just have to finish it. But sometimes, especially if you have something that's on your loom that's been there for a while, you have to make peace with yourself. You have to make peace with the project. And it's okay to say, you know what? I thought this was a good idea. I don't want to do it anymore. Let me do something else. This is especially important to do if you only have one loom because in that time where you're trying to encourage yourself, where you're trying to make yourself get back to doing that project, you're losing time. You're losing opportunities. You're losing time when you can weave more. Try something else out so that you can find something that you really want to do. This evening, I spent a good little bit of time doing just that. I had 5 different looms that I had projects on in various different states, and I pulled them all out and put them on the floor and looked over each and every one. That's actually not true. I have had 7 looms that were warped up. 2 of them I hadn't started. So since they're at the beginning, there's nothing woven on them. They're still kind of a blank chalkboard for me to be able to put something else on. However, I had at least 3 or 4 projects that had been looking at me, I had been looking at them, and I was thinking, you know what? I really don't want to do any more on this. It was an example to demonstrate a concept, but it's not really inspiring me. It's not something that I want to complete. And I have so many ideas of other things that I wanted to do. Just the fact that they were on my loom was kind of stymieing me and keeping me from making something that would be more enjoyable for me and something that would be more interesting for you. And so what I did was I first pulled everything out and looked at to see exactly where I was. For some of them, I knew I had maybe not very much of the warp on there, so it wasn't as painful to cut it off. Other projects, I wasn't sure exactly how much warp I had left on the back of the loom. Nevertheless, I made peace with myself that no matter what, I was going to cut them off the loom to free up those looms so that I'd be able to do something else. The first thing I did was I just hem stitched the end. It's always good to have a clean finish because even if it doesn't end up being whatever it was that you had planned it to be, you can always use that cloth for something else. Maybe you can applicate it to a bag, or you can make it into something else depending on what the weight of the fabric is. Maybe you were making a scarf and it came down a little bit too short and you didn't want to make the whole thing a scarf. Maybe you can turn it into a cowl or something else. If you're weaving a placemat or something, maybe you want a set and you decide that you don't feel like doing that second one. You know what? It's okay to just have one, and that'll be okay too. Now, some of you may be asking me, Amy, what on earth am I going to do with that leftover warp that's on there? Ah, I'm so glad you asked. Well, if you're watching me, then maybe you are an aspiring traditional weaver. That's the first step of the journey to becoming an epically creative weaver. And if that's the case, then you have a lot of options. Those thrums and the little leftover that you have when you take things off of your warp, just save those. Depending on how long it is, you may be able to use them for fringe on something. You may be able to put them into a piece as you're going. You never know. Just put them together, excuse me, put them together by fiber types so that you'll know that you have them. And when you're wanting to do a little bit of something creative, you can just grab them. You never know what inspiration may inspire you to do. But just make peace with the fact that you don't have to finish. I know we're brought up. We need to finish our plates. We have to finish everything that we start. And sometimes, that can be useful. But as it comes to weaving, especially when you only have one loom, if whatever it is that you're doing right now, if it's not inspiring you, if it's not bringing you joy, if it's not making you excited about going to weave, then hem stitch that thing and cut it off and do something else. You have my permission. That's what I've just done this evening. And I feel so much lighter and happier and excited about what I'm planning to make, the patterns I want to create, the projects that I'm going to do. And it's a real freeing feeling to be able to do that. Today is January 2, and you have the whole year ahead of you to make amazing things. Don't bring anything from 2020 into 2021. There's enough junk that we're going to leave in 2020, and we're going to start 2021 anew, doing something amazing and encouraging. So go ahead, cut it off. It'll be okay. You can create something else amazing in this year. So if there's something from 2021 still in that loom keeping you from making something now, you have my permission to cut it off. All right, y'all, so let's summarize it. That is what I want you to remember, and the reason why I am talking about this is that I did not get to clean up my looms before I came into this new year, and that's what I was doing this evening. And, I thought that maybe some of you might be in the same boat that I am in, that you have things that are lingering over from 2020 and you have it on your loom right now and you haven't gotten a chance to finish it up, and maybe it's just not inspiring you anymore. That's fine. You have my permission to cut it off so you can start something else this year. All right, y'all, that's it for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you're struggling with and what you want to do in 2021, and I will see you in the next video.